So Tarzan had his day with that committee set up by his party to interrogate him to find out why he's been passing comments the way he has been, why he's chosen to go the way he's gone or been going. And so we yet to get the recommendations and all that as to whether he will stay or not. Unfortunately or unfortunately, a member of that committee is here with that. Fortunate in the sense that, yes, we're going to have insights from within. Unfortunately, because the report is not out yet, so perhaps we cannot push him to preempt that one. Anyway, so gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, we are on this case to start with. I don't know the limits as far as I'm concerned, as far as in terms of comments that you can give to this one. But how did the meeting go?
Well, let's educate the public rather generally. You see, when you are a member of a party or an association, you generally will have what we call a party's constitution. Now, you are all bound by this constitution, and we have duties and rights of members. So under the constitution of the MPP, the party members have what we call duties. Now, one of the duties is to uphold the good name of the party, also not to, go out there publicly to, if you like, condemn things that a decision taken by the party. So if you look at the statements being issued by Dr. Uriku Broby, the upshot of what he was trying to say is to bring the party, the good name of the party into disrepute, or if you like, and to publicly, rather, instead of upholding, what we call collective responsibility. If you belong to a party takes a decision to go to court, so be it. Let them go to the court. If you have any, misgivings, I believe you can give these misgivings to the party hierarchy. You can call the lawyers in court and give them an advice one way or the other. But if you publicly go out there and say that, look, it's over. I mean, the Western world, the leaders thereof, if you like, have congratulated the man that is the president-elect, and he's been duly sworn into office. So you are just wasting your time going to court. You see, what we are doing is that we are not abiding by that collective decision, because the party met, the leadership party, the council, the National Council met at Alisa Hotel. A lot of people were invited, even those who were not members were invited to take a decision. We know of what happened, the Arab Spring, the Tahrir Square, and all those things, which were generally, demonstrations on the streets asking for, presidents to vacate. Currently, we are aware of what is happening in Turkey, over just a shopping mall, and now is turned into something else, where the president or the prime minister is being asked to, quit and all that. So at the end of the day, the decision was, look, let's take the judicial path. Let's go to court. Let us look at the Constitution, Article 64, which permits us to go to court, and allow the Supreme Court to hear the petition. That is the collective decision of the party. Now, how come that a member, a leading member, a founding member of the party now finds it intolerable that the party should take such a decision and then go out, upbraid the leaders, start writing, articles? That's the first part, saying that it was unnecessary. Then you go to the second part, where he now talks about even the star witness being clueless, and that contrasted with the other guy. The guy was more practical and, if you like, rather shining in the eyes of people and all that. What would be the effect? That, well, you are just wasting your time if you compare the two witnesses and all that. So I believe that this is why the party feels aggrieved. You should also remember that hopes have been raised, of course, during the elections, and people believed that the party was going to win. And then if for some reason it did not happen and now they've gone to court, I mean, how do you constantly be seen to be bashing that decision and saying things which, you know, do not appear to look augur well. Now, if you look at the clip, you will find that the party members who were there were not enthused at all. They wanted an opportunity to ruffle him up, you know. We were compelled to have to bring in the police to come and protect him, to take him out and all that. You know, if you are misunderstood, I will understand it. Like I've always said that I am prepared to hold brief for Dr. Arthur Kennedy for having written a book with a title people didn't understand, Chasing the Elephant into the Bush. To me, it might not even have been his own title. Maybe the publishers thought that if the other title being the Politics of Complacency may not sell. But if elephants don't live in towns, and then an elephant has come to town, you are chasing it back into the bush, people want to find out why. Well, how did the elephant get to town in the first place? Why is he being pushed out? So maybe they chose a title for him. But it was misunderstood in the context in which where a party has lost an election, you feel to say that you were seen to be saying, but well...
is that to suggest that if you're a party member and your views are contrary to what the hierarchy holds, then you shouldn't even say it?
No. That's
you rather share that with them. You can never go public, no matter how big you are within the party.
Yes, if you go according to the duties of the member of the party, and it is something is prohibited, then you don't do it. It's as simple as that. If you look at our national constitution, I believe Article 43 or so, you will find that it also talks about duties of a Ghanaian. One of these articles, is it 41? You know, duties of a citizen, the exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedoms is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations, and accordingly shall be the duty of every citizen, look at number 1, to promote the prestige and good name of Ghana and respect the symbols of the nation. So if you are not doing these things, do you think you are being a good citizen?
So by extension,
yes,
it covers anybody who belongs to a political grouping as well.
In our constitution, in our party's constitution, we have the duties clearly spelled out there. It does not mean that you are being gagged from saying whatever you want to say. The point is, where do you say it? I've been a cabinet minister before, so you are saying that after a cabinet meeting, then you come back and hold a press conference and say that, well, me, I don't agree with this decision because you want to exercise your freedom of expression. It doesn't work that way. You may have a policy within TV3 as to how to hold yourselves as workers or employees of TV3. When you go against those things, you don't say that you are being gagged. If you don't like the setup, you don't like the policies within which you work, the framework, then the best thing is to opt out. You can't be within it and then do things which would... In other words, you can also look for the opportunity of what we call amending the Constitution. If you think that our Constitution, the way it is crafted, gives room for people to do things that you think amount to gagging, amount to, you know, not letting people express themselves the way they want to express themselves, then call for, say, a constitutional amendment. And if you can take out some of them, that's the general feeling of the parties that, look, if we do it this way, it will work. Then, of course, you'll be in good company. But otherwise, you'll be seen as a black sheep.
I'll find out from you pretty shortly what next for him. I know now there's a recommendation you will sit down and put out a recommendation and decide what should be done to him and all that. And while you think through that, I want to pick your thoughts, Doctor. The back and forth as far as Rukubobe is concerned, he's expressing his thoughts, he's expressing his sentiments, he thinks he's a free person. Ayikoi says, no, free as he may be, he's a member of a party, so he must go or abide by the decisions of a party.
You see, to start with, I want to raise a serious issue about freedom. Freedom. When you are given freedom, too much freedom can be very, very dangerous. There are freedom within limits. And I always say that political party is a grouping, association of people who have same beliefs and same aspiration and philosophy. They share it in common. Nobody forces a person to belong to a group. So once you've decided to belong to a group, you must be ready to die for that group, to show loyalty. I don't see anybody who is really in love with a group. You can go outside that group and then tarnish the image of that group. In fact, expose that group to public hatred, ridicule, and contempt. I don't see Dr. Ayikoi in love with NPP. I don't see it in this light. You see, because you can't be in a group and at the same time, there are so many ways by which the Constitution provides for you expressing your opinion and your love and your frustrations. You can't do so. There are so many avenues.
Is there evidence to show that maybe he's tried to express these sentiments before and not being heard?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And you see, normally, you even when you are expressing your views and then your opinion, now you have to look at the context. You have to look at the effect that it's going to have on your party, the love. I don't think Ayikoi is somehow so much excited and down, peeved, cannot eat when an MPP lost the election. He's a free man. He seems, because there are people who cannot eat as of now. Some people are sick. Some people they are not able to overcome the shock. All these people, you have to take them into consideration. Now, when your party decides to go to a court, even he should know that his statement amounts to contempt of court. Why is it so? Your star witness has given evidence. It's up to the judge to decide whether evidence is credible, whether the will pass the test of time. The judge are yet to determine on those issues. You sit down there and then you make a determination for the judge that he has done nothing, whatever he has said in court amounts to nothing. You have prejudiced the case. It's evidence. Now what happens if in the course of writing the judgment, the judge ends up rather upholding his evidence, seeing him more credible? You see what you have done. So I see one thing in Ayikoi, standing from afar. You can see his claim, he's founding his forefathers. That kind of arrogant stand will not help. So you realize that the person is being personal here, thinking that he's more bigger than the group. And that is what made what he did. And I'm saying that, you see, my concern is that if you are in a group and you disagree with them, there's a way by which you pour out your disagreements. You don't go out there and rubbish everything. The other person who loves MPP, the other person who will die for MPP, will not understand why you do it. You may have a genuine cause. You can mobilize the supporters, one-on-one, and explain things to them. You can go and let it be on record that you've met the leadership and behind closed doors, and you express your sentiment. Let me be in writing, so that in future, when, for example, they lost the case, and then what happens? Then you can say that, well, I told you so. But as of now, the case is still before the court. The court is yet to even assess Bawumia. Then the painful aspect of it, standing from outside, is to compare your witness with your opponent. And then, while the matter is pending, praising your opponent. This is the highest blunder one person can commit. Even the NDC supporters are even not sure of, they cannot even assess Bawumia. They don't know. They can assess because they know that the man has come out. Look at his background. He's a solid man, and his evidence, the statistics and everything. So you can see in the legal team of MPP have respect for Bawumia. They have respect. During examination, the guy was able to explain certain things. At least then you then end up comparing him with Ayikoi Ketia, and then try to tell the whole world, including the judges, that they have no other conclusion, but Ayikoi Ketia evidence was more credible. Once you can see me for the evidence that Ayikoi Ketia was even trying to compare himself with Bawumia by saying that Bawumia is somewhat higher in this evidence, that I'm a rural banker. And then he said, let me have Bawumia's calculator. He was acknowledging the person. Then you turn around to say that accusation. So you can see clearly that he has not actually lived by the principles and the tenet of its constitution. Now, the third thing to do is not to also take him on, lynch him, or assault him. let the due process take place. You appear before the committee. Now, when you appear before the committee, it's easy. I said they saw something, talk, be cheap. It's easy. All these allegations, now you go before the committee, they will take you one by one. What is the meaning of this? What is the intention? And that's exactly what is going to face the committee. You have to justify whatever you said. And at the end of the day, whether what you said was in the best interest of the party, what do you set up to achieve? And in my little opinion, it will be very difficult for the man to be accepted. You know, they can forgive him, but others will not forgive him. That's my opinion.
What questions, if I may ask, were put?
Well, I mean, the same way as put is a lawyer, so you can do what we call a reasonable prediction of what could happen. You take your statements and then you defend it. You know, in terms of what the Constitution says and what you have said, do you think that at the end of the day, what you did is proper?
You put before him his publications?
No, he produced the publications himself because, you know, these things were put on the web. By some of the media houses, but that could not be the actual text. So he produced his own text, and then we looked at the text and, as he rightly pointed out, asked him questions and investigate what is it that he has done, gauging it against his duties of a member of the party. So in order that we should not be seen to be prejudicial to the whole process, we have spoken in general terms without going into the specifics. So at the end of the day, the committee will reconvene and now evaluate the evidence, make the recommendation back to the NEC that set it up. It's not the committee that is taking a decision. The committee makes a recommendation.
So what are the options available to you? To you in terms of what you could recommend?
Oh, as I said, I mean, you have to look at the Constitution and say what are the sanctions. If somebody is found to be liable, what are sanctions? Does it include, for example, expulsion from the party, suspension for some time, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is that the party Constitution, because if you go outside what the party Constitution provides, you'll also be acting illegally and unconstitutional. So we are only bound by what the party, but it will not be long. I think we'll meet again next week, consider it, and then put this thing behind us as quickly as possible.
He will not be with you when you meet next time?
No.
Okay.
We are going to make the recommendation now to the NEC, and then we expect the NEC to come up with a final decision. So you make a recommendation that you think somebody should be expelled. The committee can say, oh, no, let us just suspend him, let us warn him, let us do this. So it doesn't follow at all that whatever recommendation you make will be accepted. That is why it remains a recommendation. But make sure that whatever you say will be within the four corners of the law. It's like where you have these labor issues, and somebody is found to have done something which has gone against the conditions of service of the employer. He has to appear before a disciplinary committee. But they cannot impose any punishment which is not part of that conditions of service. It should be part. So one may have to look at what the Constitution, sanctions that are proposed in the Constitution, provided for in the Constitution, and then apply whatever it is that ought to be applied. It doesn't also mean that he has been found liable. No. It is after you have weighed the entire evidence that you come to a conclusion. So for now, let us say that in terms of the law, he's innocent until he has been proven guilty.
Okay. So next week, we'll know what your committee will say, the recommendations that they will make to the higher authority, and then thereafter what happens. And let's move on and look at the almighty election petition. Now some 1 week, 10 days thereabouts. We were also with you all throughout the week, and we have pieced everything together in terms of the highlights of it. Let's just walk through that one and then come and compare notes.
Exactly 30 days of sitting on the election petition